And so now I give you the founder and CEO of Swayam Analytics, with much pride, my dear friend Shilpa. Why don't you come on camera? So this is where I'm going to be the interviewer, and I thought I will interview Shilpa just to give it. Shilpa, welcome. It's so great to have you. So great to see you.
Good morning. Good morning, Maha. Thank you very much for having me here today. And it's lovely to meet you again.
Well, thank you for getting up so early in India. We're going to try and keep this as short as possible. I have a few questions for you. I think the audience here would be really interested to hear your perspectives. We're talking about the topic of female empowerment, economic empowerment. And so maybe you can start us off by telling us in your words, what does financial empowerment mean for you and your journey?
Yes, so I think financial empowerment has played a very, very large role in my journey. In fact, I was able to educate myself. So I got my master's as well as my PhD degree with, what I earned myself. So I wasn't supported by anybody else. In India, we have the tradition of the parents supporting their children for their education. So that wasn't the case here. So I was able to support myself for my master's as well as my PhD program. So other than educating myself, I got married very early. I was just 19 when I got married. I was still studying my undergraduate course. And then I lost my husband. And I was able to, bring up both my children on my own, educate them. Both of them are lawyers today. My daughter is a qualified solicitor. She practices in Dublin. And while my son is a lawyer who practices, he's a litigation lawyer, and he practices here in Bangalore with me. He lives here in Bangalore with me. And then I think being able to be financially independent helped me to overcome this tragedy in my life. I was able to have financial security and provide that for my children. And then when I started my company, I was able to employ people and give them the financial security that they needed to. And we predominantly, if not all, the employees that I have today are women. In fact, even the interns that I work with, who work with us, they're also girls, young girls who are doing their masters and undergraduate in psychology. The area that I've chosen to contribute in, which is psychology, is a very unusual field. So it was very difficult for me to convert it to a business and then have people accept it, that it's something business, that it's something viable and something somebody can do something in that area. That itself was a huge challenge, but that was only possible because of the consistent work that we've been able to do and the kind of, the revenues that we are able to bring in. And nothing speaks better than money, right? Money in the bank. Yeah. So that's how I think we were able to, convince people that, we are serious, we mean business, and we are here to stay. And, the women that I employ, they're also very happy to be, and it's like I said, it's a very unconventional business. So if you can call it a business. So in the traditional sense, I mean, so they're also very enthusiastic about, having access to, something very different, because after a point, doing the same traditional kind of businesses is also quite boring. There's a lot of people who want to contribute in different ways. And we're able to bring those people on board and take it forward. So that's a huge thing for us. And the second thing that I've been able to do is in India, like in most societies, we do have a lot of people with special needs. And I mean specifically learning disability, dyslexia and so on. In fact, my son is dyslexic. And that's how I got into, because there was no, I didn't want to move him to a special needs school, like the school wanted us to. And he continued in the special needs, in the inclusive school that he was in. And inclusive school wasn't even a terminology then. This was in 97, 98 or so. So he continued in the regular school, and I started working with special needs children in a school to understand what this was all about. And that's where I realized that, there was a huge lacune in the sense that there were no career guidance programs for children with special needs. And unfortunately, till date, there is nothing available. So I capitalized on that, and we have launched, and we have just completed a research project to standardize assessments for career guidance assessments for children with learning disabilities. And that was only possible because of the financial independence that I have today. And we'll be releasing that shortly from the next academic year. Our academic year in India starts from May onwards. So then we'll be able to release these reports for children to take it up, so that they have access to careers as comparable to any of their peers who are in regular schools. And all this is possible only because of financial inclusion, literacy, and education. I can't even stress the importance of education here. I hope that answers your question, Maha.
How can I unpack that? When I first met Shilpa, I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but I said, I was quite intimidated. What have I got to offer this amazing woman? And here she is on display, actually, proving my point. I love the fact that, again, you are thinking as a mother of what you need to do to help your child, but then how do you help society as a result? And personally, I'm very passionate also about neurodiversity and ensuring that inclusion is not just about female inclusion. When we think about it, we think about inclusion across the board. We think about diversity across the board. And I think this is a great example of that. Now let's turn a little bit. I'd like to maybe offer a perspective on India has been quite strong in terms of financial inclusion and particularly female empowerment. So what has been some of the success stories that you've seen in terms of the society, the government, etc.? What programs do you feel have worked well for female empowerment in India?
Yeah, so I think you must all have heard about UPI, Unified Payments Banks and everything. So UPI has been a game changer for a lot of people, including women. So to give you a very brief example, my own cook, she has one child who's living with her here in Bangalore. Another one is in hostel in a different city. So she needs to send money to the child's school every month, because obviously they can't make, advance payments a year in advance, 1 year in advance. So, she used to go every month, make a trip to the city, make the payment in cash and come back. But after UPI, she's able to do that, sitting at home. And she goes to only meet her child whenever she feels like it, not only to make the payment to the school. And even that, because she didn't know how to do it. So, people like us, and, we helped her set up a bank account, I had to give a letter to the bank saying that I know her, and otherwise banks are not ready to take anybody and everybody, right? So I gave her a letter and then, helped her set up the entire phone payment thing. And then she's able to do that seamlessly. And when I pay her also, I pay her online. I pay her through UPI. In fact, I pay all my staff through UPI so that it's easy for them. It's money in the bank and they know how much money they have. I teach them how to, understand that. And they're in turn able to teach their, friends, their sisters, their children and everybody. And that is kind of setting an example. And the other thing with this that has happened is that they are able to access health insurance, because the government gives them health insurance, which is for, I think, 12 rupees per year or something, which is a pittance, really, not even peanuts. And they're able to, and for that, you need to have a bank account, without which they cannot transfer the insurance and other benefits. So they are able to access all that only because they have the bank insurance, the bank account with them. And another thing that I've seen is when I go shopping, we have this huge culture of go-karts. We have vegetable vendors, we have flower sellers, everybody on go-karts. They move the things and then go around selling it, not only in residential areas, but even in the communities, in the commercial activities, communities also, they sell it. And then they all have the QR code put up on their, on their cart. And that we can just scan it and then make the payment. We don't have to carry cash. And for them, it's safety, because they don't get looted by their husbands who want to just take it for drinking, or their sons, or anybody else who wants to take away their money. It's difficult for you to steal money which is in the bank, right? So it becomes easy for them also to have access to funds.
That's a great
point.
Sorry,
did you say anything?
Oh, no, I was going to say that's a great point. I think the ability for women to have control over their money is a big element, in particularly in emerging markets where programs like UPI have really sort of supported that. So that's very helpful. What about pitfalls? What about things that still need to happen society-wise? The attitude towards this. Maybe you can give us a little bit of what still needs to, what hasn't worked well, and what still needs to change.
So I think one more thing that needs to change is the culture of having to meet in person, which was there earlier. After COVID, what happened was it became a great, I'm sorry to say this, COVID was destructive. It was devastating to communities across the world, people across the world. But I think for women, and I speak from my experience, it was a great leveler. In the sense that, it didn't need us to go from one city to another or one country to another to get an appointment to meet somebody in person. I was able to sit here in Bangalore and get access to people who were sitting in the US, in Europe, in different, in Delhi, in Bombay, and so on. And I feel that opened up the entire world for us. Of course, there's still a lot. It's still, a huge work in progress. And then the another thing, if I can go back to the empowerment, how it has impacted us, is that socially also women are able to now see that, they do in India, I'm sure you know that more than 80% of the marriages are still arranged by the parents. And then by the time the girl is about 22, 23, they are forced to get married. So, but now girls are saying no to marriage. They're saying, they're pushing the boundaries and saying that I will get married only when I have financial independence, because they've seen their mothers, their elder sisters, or their aunts, somebody in the family or in the society who's able to do something, stand up on their own, and have that respect and financial independence, which all of us see. So they're pushing. I know my daughter's friends. I know my friends' daughters who are not ready to get married until they are financially independent. So that's another way. And they're dictating the terms of the marriage, which was unheard of earlier, at least in my generation. So now they're saying no to so many things, and the parents are supporting them, which is another way that we're seeing that, society is changing because of this kind of empowerment, both education as well as financial empowerment. And that, I think that is, a major, huge change that we can see that is happening in India today.
That's great. Any last words, anything you'd like to share with our audience that you think is important for us to know on this International Women's Day, particularly this year?
Yeah. I think one thing would be to give award more contracts to women. Because if you look at a man who is like 50, 55 years old, who's been in the corporate setting throughout his entire, professional life, compared to another woman who has not been in the corporate setting, but is doing equally good work, equally professional, but may not have the same language, the lingo, as you say it, or the same, kind of a attitude towards different things. It's important to see whether the person is able to give the kind of work that you need, and also support them. I think by supporting them, women entrepreneurs in each and every area, you're also able to support communities, disadvantaged people, complete different sections of society. I think that would be something, and look at them, that's an unconscious bias that we all have. So if we can look at that, if we can remove that bias, remove that filter, and then take a look at that and then see how we can, give access to women, give them contracts, help them to sit at the table, I think companies would also prosper, and communities as well. That would be something that I would request all of you to do.
Thank you very much. I think that's a great point. I often talk about how the scorecard is biased. So it's not necessarily about people deliberately being biased. Once you get to the final stage, based on that scorecard, you always want to take the best candidate, and it's often a man, because the actual scorecard itself is looking at characteristics that favour. We don't do it consciously. There's not everybody's a bad person. We're not out trying to. But the scorecard, if we need to, we need to relook at that and rebalance that. That could help tremendously. Shilpa, what can I say? It's always an absolute pleasure. I think we need to send you back to bed because it's Sunday night. It's always inspirational to talk to you. I will see you hopefully next time I'm in India. And for now, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for coming on at this hour.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maha. Thank you, everybody.